I would have given you all.
That's Cat Stevens with the first cut is the deepest. Hey, just I want to give credit, and hopefully YouTube won't block my video. For playing a tiny clip. They have that power. But listen, friends, to continue here, what I was trying to say was the federal labor department would be utterly remiss if the cost of living is driven up, and they know, okay, that's their job is to pay attention to the cost of living. And the way they do that, they calculate it. The CPI, everybody's heard of the CPI, okay, the Consumer Price Index, cost price index, whatever you want to call it. It's just a market basket of goods in economic terms. You've got to include, I mean, logically, you've got to include first and foremost essential human needs in that, right? Food, shelter, potable water, and energy needs, right? We would all agree yeah, we want at least those. The clothes, well, that's up for debate. I mean, what's wrong with nakedness, right? I mean, here we are, these most intelligent creatures by far and away, intellectual and imaginative than all the other creatures on Earth combined. If you took all the brain power of all these creatures, they couldn't hold a candle to the human brain power. It's mind-boggling. We're virtually without limits in what we can imagine. And just remember, anything we can imagine, we can attain. It's that simple. We can make manifest. So when I talk about an ideal world down to the smallest detail, it's your obligation, it's my obligation. It's our obligation to do that thing, to imagine that world, okay? And you realize you've got the power to do it, that God gave you that power through your brain power, through your imaginative powers, your thought powers. It's incredible. But, I digress again, but I just wanted to finish up what I'm trying to get across here, what I'm trying to convey about the Federal Labor Department and how obviously now, and this wasn't nearly as obvious to me for a long time, but I was always upset when I saw the cost of living going up and the Labor Department would give a cost of living adjustment, right? The Federal Labor, but it was just, this much, a tiny bit. While your cost of living went up this much, a big bit, right? So it's very frustrating and perplexing and confounding to me. And I can't hide that. I don't want to hide that. Okay, it causes a great deal of distress in my soul, in my spirit, in my heart, in my mind. It troubles me. And I need it to trouble me. I need to be convicted. And even if the problem I'm talking about, even if I'm financially well heeled, okay, because I always mention, you know what I am? I'm economically challenged. I'm economically ill. Okay. And it doesn't mean that I don't have enough money. That's not the point. Whether I had a lot, medium, or a little, I'm the same guy. Okay. And my concern is justice, not for some, not for a select some, but for everybody. I'm on everybody's side. I'm trying to emulate God because I know the truth is that God's an egalitarian. He's an equalitarian. He loves us all equally, okay, and wants the best for not some of us, for all of us. He loves the stinkers just as he loves the righteous people. The righteous people have an obligation, a responsibility to be good ambassadors, good representatives, good reflections of this God they purport to believe in. And that's all I'm trying to do. And I know that it's cut and dried and simple, okay? But listen, I keep digressing on and off here, but to go back to the two commandments Jesus gave us, okay? You got the God one. Put God above all else. Love him with your whole heart, mind, spirit, soul, and body, all your strength. Have no gods before him. Glorify God. The other one is like it. We're told to love one another. And when we love one another, we will do unto others as we would have them do unto us. Treat others the way we want to be treated. Little child can understand it. Okay, so that's all I'm saying here is that we need to run our establishment like that. Okay, we got this pseudo form of governance where it's just done by a lot of mean people, bad actors, and quite frankly, traitors. That's who they are. And they don't have the best interests of the American people at large. Like I said, there's probably 100 million people working at a minimum wage, federal minimum wage, dollar, and or close thereabouts, and their hopes have been dashed. They've been running on this hamster wheel. They know it keeps getting harder and harder, but somehow they've always mustered up the strength to keep on turning that hamster wheel. They're finally petering out, and they're saying, "Oh my God, I can't do this. This is foolish. I'm expending all my strength here, and I want to conserve some. I mean, this isn't right. To accept enslavement is then I become culpable in the enslavement scheme." Okay, the fact that they've normalized slavery, and this is how they've done it through the Federal Labor Department. Okay, because listen, friends, are they not 100% justified at the Federal Labor Department to come out and say the cost of living in America, we average it out, has gone up X amount? So it's only proper, right, virtuous, okay, ethical to give an appropriate, an equivalent, a proportional, a commensurate cost of living adjustment to the federal minimum wage workers. Because if we don't, for all intents and purposes, mathematically speaking, we just gave them a pay cut. Right? You understand that? If their pay stays the same and their cost of living is going up, okay, that's, hey, even if the cost of living was staying the same and their pay stayed the same, okay, and it would be this, you understand, it's the same thing. It doesn't matter. So you see, who's paying the price? It's always the people at the bottom rung on the ladder. They're not going to let you get up. And then they throw a few crumbs out there, and we got this social welfare system set up. They got us to believe in either socialism or capitalism, when really they're running the whole show. The miserable show that doesn't work. I mean, $50 billion a year, we could buy people houses and be done with them. Start saving that money, and instead of going putting the country in debt, the country starts being being flush. Okay, having a surplus. No, they don't want to do that. The evil people do not want the problems fixed. They can't rob you. It's a theftocracy. So in order to be successful at that theftocracy, they've got to have victims. They've got to have people they're stealing from. And that's your average everyday person. The low-end workers out there, man, these are the ones that they're picking on. If you can't get ahead and you're on that hamster wheel, okay, hey, you know what? It ain't fair. It ain't right. It's wrong. It's immoral. It's ungodly. Okay, it's anti-American. It's just a bad scene, man. And furthermore, the Federal Labor Department could say, look, there's going to be horrible consequences, very bad, pernicious consequences. You're going to see a chain reaction, because as everybody's scrambling, as you debase their money, as you water down their money, okay, they're going to be scrambling for more money just so they can stay even Steven, because they're not getting any justice from the Federal Labor Department. They're not out there giving anywhere near adequate cost of living adjustments to the federal minimum wage workers. And like I said, this is a two-way street. So, hey, if the cost of living goes down, then the wages can go down. But if the employers see that, hey, this trend is not looking good for me as an employer, as a boss, as a master, because they keep debasing my labor dollars. You understand? They say my labor dollar, the amount I need to buy labor keeps going up. That means my labor dollar is worth less. I don't like that. So they complain. The rubber meets the road. That's where we have the discussion. What's happening here? Do we have a genuine disruption in the supply chain? The only time your money is supposed to be worth less, and because prices went up. And that should only be temporary until we get on top of it. Now starts going the other way. That's what you're looking for. So we got to have the discussion. Is it going up naturally, organically, because of a disruption in the supply chain, or is there market manipulation taking place? Is there price rigging, price fixing, and collusion taking place by special interest groups that benefit from raising the price of this or that commodity? In specific, all they need is one commodity, one essential human need to pick on. That's all they need to get that stranglehold on the public. And that commodity has been housing. They're evil men. Evil men. What do they care about their conscience? Judgment Day, the day of reckoning. What do they know? What are these people? What are they telling you? What are they telling you to follow, man? Into the fires of Hades, man. Who are these people? They're living for this little flash in a pan, this wisp of time. This is it. This is all I care about. Being some, I want to be somebody. I want to make money. I want all those things. Yeah, I'm willing to step on toes and cut throats and live outside your stupid golden rule, you religious fanatic. Yet all the laws of man we're told we got to follow, changing all the time. They could take your freedom, take all your stuff, take all your money. If you preach any of those laws of man, it's bad religion, man. But they do nothing to protect the rights of the downtrodden, the dispossessed out there, the desperately poor. Even in America, we're the richest nation on earth. 25 trillion in debt and growing. But the mainstream media won't touch the implications thereof. Disgusting. Outrageous. You think the wrath of God isn't hanging heavy over America? I'm telling you how to get out. House the homeless. End the dubious warfare. Stop it in the name of Jesus. That's the power. You have that power. Just like you see coming through me, you have that same power. Like a spark, a tiny little spark. A little lightning. We had a bout of lightning that caused all these fires in California. You know, it's all done by lightning. Not kids playing with matches, not PG&E. Mother Nature. These forests are tinder. I mean, for one thing, the methods of doing this, they've got to have controlled burns. You don't think the Indians used to put out fires, do you? They weren't stupid. You protect structures, I'm all for that. That's fine. Artificial structures. But beyond that, no, you let nature do her thing, man. And they're burned. There's unquenchable fires because they let all this underbrush grow up. And on top of that, they've been spraying it with this incendiary substance, this aluminum powder. Oh, we're blocking out the sun. We're not going to talk about. I mean, it's like, oh my God. I mean, it's bizarro world, man, on steroids. It's so formidable. It's so foreboding. It's so ominous. It's so like, ugh. You think you don't need God? And you think I don't need God? You don't think we need God to help us here? These people are cutthroat. I mean, they want to get the earth down to 500 million. They want to get rid of over 90% of humanity. So what are you going to put past these people? Use your imagination. How will they achieve their ends, their goal? You think a pandemic is beyond them? Where they got the best scientists like the Nazis working on vaccinations ahead of time? And once they make a good vaccine, off with their heads. That's how they operate. That's how they roll. So they vaccinate them and their families, inoculate them and their families. These elitists say, okay, let her rip, man. Plane up there flying, dropping biologicals all over the earth. Oh, don't worry, kids. It's a pandemic. It's just a pandemic. Hey. Wear a mask. Social distance. Quit your job. Go broke. Go live under the bridge. Sick, man. You think the wrath of God isn't hanging heavy over America and by extension the rest of the world because they're just following the leader, the leaders of the free world. If you're an American, that's your responsibility. If you don't like it, maybe you're not cut out to be an American. Maybe you need to move somewhere else. But if you are an American, that's your responsibility. Step up to the plate. Speak out. Speak truth to power and anybody else that'll listen. And like that little spark, you can ignite the entire freaking forest on fire. That's in a good way. Like God said, go subdue the earth, but in a good way. Not negative, not pollute the earth, not wreck the earth. I'm not talking about burning down the fire. I'm talking about erecting powerful means of coming against evildoers. And that is through knowledge, embracing that. This is God-given wisdom. Okay, if we got to deal with this damn stupid internet, I mean, yeah, I like it too, like everybody else. I love it. It's a magic box, you know, your laptop. But hey, it's a double-edged sword because there's a lot of ways to just get lost in there and be stupid and dissipate time. We all know that too. but God is using it, okay? And it's important to have it. And we're free, to do what we want to do and all that. But you know what? I mean, at the end of the day, hey, all things may be lawful to you as a believer because you're abiding by the golden rule. You're not going to do anything to anybody else that you don't want done to you, okay? All right. Nevertheless, okay, there's a lot of unprofitable stuff. And profit, we're not talking about money, we're talking about profiting the spirit, right? The heart and the mind.